Welcome to another video. It's the final countdown.
Well, no, today it's not. Today we're looking at the Marantz SD1000.
Oh, what is that?
That's somebody bringing us a tape.
That's Emmett.
Yeah, we're looking at the Marantz SD1000. So we bought this, first of all, because it's a Marantz, and I've never had a Marantz. They've always been a little pricey. Second of all, there's this button right here, standard or high speed. You normally only have a speed selector on reel-to-reel, so why does this cassette deck have a speed selector? I've never seen a cassette deck with a speed selector. That's kind of unique. Marantz, if you've never heard of them, is a well-respected audio brand, mostly for these receivers with their weird horizontal tuning thing. As it turns out, Marantz was one of several companies, starting with BIC, or BIC, not the pen company, in 1978 that introduced the dual-speed cassette deck. The faster speed generally means higher quality, although, as a side note, Nakamichi, who's known for quality, went actually the other direction with a slow-speed cassette deck. Anyway, this model, the SD1000, would have cost $235 for the dual-speed model. Here's a catalog, German catalog from 1980. You can see the SD1000 at the bottom there. But what's missing from this SD1000 is the actual speed knob. Yeah, you're right. Where'd it go?
Maybe they replaced it.
If you do a Google search for SD1000, there are several models calling themselves the SD1000. Some of them have the speed knob, but most of them don't, which is just really weird. So a company's producing a tape deck under the same name with different...
But no speed selector.
Yeah, no speed selector. It's kind of strange. What appears to be the difference is the presence of the knob itself. And of course, up in the corner, you see how it says 2-speed cassette deck?
Okay. It's the final countdown.
Yeah. Anyway, in 1981, they cleaned up the confusion. They introduced the SD1002, which looks identical to the SD1000. I guess maybe the 2 stands for 2-speed. And then they also introduced a metal capability with the models above that. Is that
ours?
No, it's the 1010.
The R had free.
Well, yeah. And also, the 1020 had the dual speed in 1981. And by 1982, they introduced a whole new look and sort of phased out the 2-speed concept, except for all but the carryover high-end models. Another point of confusion, this deck that I have was made in Taiwan, but there's several of them that are made in Japan. So it's just really inconsistent. That might be a reason I wouldn't buy this without knowing a little bit more about it. Let's go through the repair process. Yeah. So,
power?
Yes, first we got to turn it on. That's the most important thing. The repair was really easy, and it actually worked. Play worked out of the box. It plays just fine at both speeds. So what didn't work was fast forward and rewind. You try to fast forward and rewind.
Did the recorder work?
Yes. So if you look inside of it, I'd say it's pretty decent construction. One unusual thing, the transformer's mounted on the back. I mean, that's unusual. It looks, there's a big metal flywheel. That's good. You got some switches and things. This switch is very interesting. The switch that does the speed is a different type of switch. It's kind of like a lawnmower control cable. That black thing, if you look at it, says do not bend. You turn the knob, you're actually pushing something through that black thing that flips a standard switch. So this really probably would have been easier for them to make a button. I don't know why they did it that way. It's an interesting choice. So yeah, here we go. You see me turning that, see how it moves. It goes through that cable and it moves that switch down there at the bottom.
That is interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I wish you could split open the wire and see what's inside.
It's just a little wire. Anyway, so here, the problem with this thing was pretty easy to find, to fix. It was just a belt. So if you look over here, I'm getting sleepy. See, the belt is just pretty much crusted onto the, yuck, what a mess. Got that stuff on my finger. Anyway, the belt is all gumped up. It just melted off. Also, I don't know when this deck was made. The motor looks a little, it's still a DC motor. But unlike every other motor we've opened on this channel, this one doesn't have an obvious date. This thing was made between, 79 and 81. The motor has like an 83 on it, and I don't know. Fast forward and rewind are working great now with the new belt, no problem. So that was like the easiest fix in the history of cassette decks. Also, just in case you're curious, changing the speed while you're fast forwarding or rewinding doesn't do anything. It only affects play. All right. Yeah. So what do you think of this? It has a very interesting style.
But what is this?
It's just a weird design. It's like very industrial looking. I don't know. I mean, is it something that it looks cool, but and it sounds pretty good. It doesn't have metal support. In later years, they went with a tape type switch, and here you set the EQ and bias, but it's not their nicest. Yeah, there's your puppy dog.
Trying to flip the switches, but
So anyway, so it's probably a pretty well built cassette deck. I would probably
pushing the buttons.
Yeah. I'd probably rather have this Pioneer that we did an earlier video on. It's just got a lot more features. This one was $235. It's okay. But this one for $60 more in 1980, you get so much more, like, you know, metal tape support and the output volume control. And we had a whole nother video about that. But, you know, I don't want to be too hard on the Marantz. We're going to do a sound quality test in a minute and to show.
Hey, wait. Do you see the tape selector thing, and then there's a missing button right there?
Oh, yeah, it just doesn't quite line up. I guess they were trying to center that bar. Another thing to mention, this JVC, it has a lot more features.
Look, VU.
Yes, yeah. The VU meters on the Marantz, I will say, are pretty nice. They stand out. So why didn't the dual speed thing work? The manufacturers did a lot of other things to make tapes sound better, but I would say, you know, going from those big reel-to-reels to a tape deck, tapes are all about convenience, and I would imagine it'd be really inconvenient to have to remember to set a speed. You'll see in these sound quality recordings we're about to play that it's really hard to tell the difference in sound quality, so I can see why they dropped this feature. By the 1982 catalog, it was pretty much gone. But anyway, and so we'll leave you with some sound quality tests. We'll do an A/B comparison here of a track from the YouTube.
My Fakentosh is working good in my playroom.
Oh yeah, thanks for that update. Anyway, see you next time.
See you in the next video.
How about?
Bye.